Tanner Burns is in, or is he out? What's going on with Auburn? Welcome on into the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. I'm your host, Mike G, and thank you so much for joining me this Wednesday. Joining me, as he does every Wednesday, is my good friend Kyle Rush from the Barn. Kyle, Auburn is doing stuff. I'm not so sure we know what's happening, but we're going to talk about it anyway. There was a report by Matt Zenitz of 247 that said that Auburn had promoted Tanner Burns to Nicholls coach. In addition to his special teams responsibilities, our friend Matt put out another report today that said that Texas State is expected to hire Tanner Burns as associate head coach. There were feelings about this. You have your own feelings about this, but I want you to weigh in here. Tanner Burns is taking a lot of heat on social media from fans right now about special teams performance this past season. How do you feel about the Tanner Burns moves?
Well, first of all, I like Tanner Burns a lot. I think he's a young coach that's trying to move himself up in the ranks and was trying to do that by getting extra responsibilities added to his plate. Still didn't get that on the field designation where he could be, have a room, get out recruiting, things like that. It was just sort of still a behind the scenes type role. And then he got offered that role, albeit at Texas State with I think a friend of his, GJ or J. Is it GJ or JG? I think it's GJ.
GJ.
Is that? Yeah. So and he'll have that on the field role designation. So I think a lot of people are fine with this. Maybe some even celebrating because they think the special teams coach has a lot more to do with field goal kickers and punters than they actually do. But I mean, look, I can't really hold it against him. He's trying to earn his way up. He's young 30s, trying to make a splash in college football, and he found a way to get that extra on the field coaching job after he kind of got a little bit more responsibilities added to his plate at Auburn. So can't really fault him for grinding.
Yeah, I'm not sure that all this vitriol towards Tanner Burns is warranted. Can I read you some of the responses to this Matt Zenitz tweet?
Please. It's probably going to make me mad, but I'll listen.
Does he need help packing?
Yeah.
Late Christmas present. Please, Lord. Thank you, Lord. Texas State is getting a great coach and human. That's a good one. A lot of very demonstrative gifs here. Can't believe this is my life. Thank you, sweet baby Jesus. Bye, bum.
Ooh.
This is about field goal kicking. I feel like this is primarily about field goal kicking, is it not? If Alex McPherson never gets sick and he's able to kick last year, is this sentiment about Tanner Burns persisting?
Probably not. I think there were some other questions. I think there were some penalties on kickoff returns early in the year, and eventually to where I think they started trying to call more fair catches or not bring them out of the end zone to prevent poor field position. But yeah, you had a kicker. You had the kicker situation, which was just incredibly unfortunate. Then you had Oscar Chapman, who all of a sudden decided at a weird time of the year that he was going to kind of go south. And then you had Keontae Scott, who last year under Tanner Burns led the SEC in punt returns. This year, for whatever reason, not only couldn't get any good punt returns, but also had issues with, muffs and dropping punts. So then you had to go to a true freshman who honestly is explosive, but you're honestly just hoping he catches the ball. Like just field the ball. Don't try to make a play. I think it was a lot of stuff hit all at the same time, and field goals definitely magnify things. I think people think that special teams coaches are kicking coaches too, and all that good stuff. And I don't think that's necessarily the case. So it's unfortunate. I say it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate because I like Tanner, and I think Tanner was a really good recruiter for what he got to do. He was part of that Freeze 5 recruiting staff. Those 5 coaches who recruited everybody. So every kid that was being recruited by Auburn, Tanner Burns was contacting them. So you want to look at the recruiting class the past 2 years, Tanner Burns had a personal relationship with every single one of them because he was part of that Freeze Five. So you're losing a very fiery, a very young, energetic recruiter, but at the same point in time, maybe there were some things that Auburn left a little bit of meat on the bone as far as coaching goes, in the special teams area. Maybe there was some different techniques or some more seasoning that another guy could have, maybe helped prevented a few holding penalties. I mean, I don't know, but regardless, he's gone, and Auburn's going to have to, I guess, maybe look at this new hire. I said new old hire that they had that could help supplement special teams as well.
The way Matt's reporting is going, I'm not ready to say he's gone.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you this. I do believe that the narrative around kicking has a lot to do with the sentiment toward Tanner Burns. I believe that. And it's unfortunate. I mean, if we're playing devil's advocate, you could say that the performance on the field may point to, practice habits or how that position is being coached. But the fall off this year, to me, kind of just went in line with some of the Murphy's Law that we saw in offense as well, too. There were just some things that just didn't go right for Auburn this year. And look, the coach does bear some responsibility, Kyle, in the results on the field. But I don't know that it warrants some of what we're seeing on social media right now about this firing.
Yeah, I'm with you. So I have no idea what this stat means.
Okay.
I told you that beforehand, but in 2022, as far as special teams efficiency goes, in 2022, so the year before Tanner Burns was hired, Auburn was 87th in the country, okay, in special teams efficiency. And then they went to 12th in 2023. So I'm in the whole country, not in the conference. And then they went back down into the 80s this past year. So that there probably could be a number of things you could point to that would signify why that is. I think probably it's heavily kicking weighted. And last year, Auburn didn't miss a field goal. So they were a lot more efficient on special teams. And then this year, you obviously had the issue with Alex McPherson, like you mentioned. And then the Towns-Magoo situation, which to me was
so
not
bizarre.
Was really bizarre. And I think you can point to, I can't remember if it was Oklahoma or Arkansas. You have to help me out here, where there was a little bit of, in my opinion, some clock mismanagement towards the end of a half. And they had to do a fire drill, rush the kicking out onto the field. And
it was Oklahoma.
I think it was Oklahoma. And he had to rush an attempt and hooked it. Well, they were off sides. But the problem is especially if you play golf too, once you get the hooks, it's hard to get off of them. Yep. And then not only that brings in the hook, but that also brings the block into play too, where you're trying to overcompensate. Well, he hooked the second one. And then when you miss two in a row as a kicker, as a freshman kicker, things go crazy, probably go crazy in your head. So some of that, again, circumstance, like you mentioned it earlier, sort of the Murphy's Law, everything that kind of could go wrong went wrong last year. So we'll see. You don't have him to point to anymore. You don't have Tanner Burns to kind of lean on anymore as far as the whipping boy, as far as special teams goes.
Yeah, I agree. But look, that's not the only news that came in today. Looks like Native Son is coming home. We're going to talk about that right after a quick word from our friends at the Rogue Shop. Kyle, visit rogueshop.com and use code REPORTER to get 15% off that Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has you covered. They've been sponsoring us for a while. Please go visit them. Our guy Richard does a good job of sliding in something personal for all our War Rapport customers that head over there. Also, our title sponsor, Golden's Cast Iron. Visit goldenscastiron.com/WR and use code Get Your Weight Up for 15% off your weights and code TWR for $65 off fire pits and Kamado grills. We appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. Also, our friends at Los Amigos. Visit Los Amigos Mexican Restaurant at 1220 Fox Run Ave, Suite 200 in Opelika, Alabama. If you're in the mood for some great Mexican food, please go visit them. They've been telling us that you guys have been finding them through us, and we appreciate that. Please continue to do that. Tell the manager that the War Report sent you over. Kyle, jumping back in here. Look. Rock Melton Tony.
Yeah.
possibly coming home. Another
Finally,
Matt
The
Zenitz
Rock
report.
has come back to
Oh
Auburn.
my goodness. Now, before we started recording, you talked a little bit about why he left, and I
Yeah.
wanted to recount that conversation.
Yeah. So if you remember correctly, he was hired for 1 year by Harsin at the worst year you could ever be hired as a coach in any tenure of Auburn. In the year that you get fired, that's just really tough luck. But when he was here, I mean, you saw the quotes from Derek Hall. You've seen Chandler Wooten go off in support of him. I think he made a big impact here in that one short year that he was here. He coached edges and he coached special teams. And then once the transition happened, you started having all these hires, and then you're interviewing some of the guys that were currently on staff to see if you want to retain him. And I think he had a really good interview with Hugh, but at that point in time, the analyst role was probably the only thing that was open, and that was not a role that it is now. Like now, the analyst essentially is just another coach. Like they can coach with the guys. It's a lot more of a it's a lot more of a I guess, a marketable role. It's a lot more of a real coaching job now to be an analyst or to be an assistant position coach before it was back in 2022. So I think Hugh, if it was like it was now, he probably would have retained him and found a spot for him. But I think at that point in time, there wasn't really a spot for him. So then he goes and has his run at Florida Atlantic, which is just crazy what all happened to him there. And then Hugh obviously wanted to bring him back. So you bring him back. You've got a lot of guys sounding off in support, and it's been a circuitous route. But I think this is a Hugh guy, and DJ Durkin signed off on it, and you're bringing him back to Auburn.
Yeah, look, his wife follows me on Twitter, and she tweeted out celebration dinner with our boy. So excited to once again be saying "War Damn Eagles." So that doesn't says that it's official. I think that makes it official. Rock Mel and Tony returning to the Plains.
Oh yeah, once management sounds off on it, it's official.
Correct.
Yeah.
Look, I've never heard anything but good things about Rock. And great guy, great coach. The players, and I think it's no secret. I'm pretty player friendly, right?
Sure.
Take their feedback very seriously. And I've never heard a player tell me anything negative about Coach Rock. They love the way he coaches, the way he communicates. And I think this is a really good move by Hugh Freeze. If you're going to replace Tanner Burns, because he did handle special teams in his last go around at Auburn, to bring him back and have him handle those duties again for you. Somebody who's known to your program, understands the recruiting landscape down here, and can add value immediately, Kyle. That's Rock Mel and Tony in my book. Look, man, are we expecting any more coaching changes this spring? I know you're pretty plugged in as well, too, man. But this Tanner Burns stuff kind of caught me by surprise, as did the Rock news. Are we done here with the staff until fall?
As far as on the field staff, it's like when you're talking about those main, I guess, what is it, 10 or 11? It's like 10 position coaches plus the head coach, or is it 9 plus the head coach? Regardless, those main position coaches, I'm not sure that there's going to be another change unless this Rock situation is to be the special teams coach off the field. Now, Zenit said it's going to be edge coach, and a lot of the guys are saying it's going to be the edge coach. So again, that's not inside information. What I'm saying is, I think based off of what you see all of the main coaches, I don't know that I expect much movement from here on out. I really thought there'd be some offensive shakeup, but there just hasn't. It's been basically all on the defense. Now, analyst wise, I think you're going to see DJ Durkin probably bring in 2 defensive guys, similar to like TJ Rushing, because you just lost. I think Jacksonville State just hired one of our defensive assistants to an actual on the field role. So I think you'll see at least 2, maybe 3 off the field guys. So I'll be watching out for that. And then I just got there's got to be some shakeup on offense, right? I mean, you got to move. Something's got to happen, even if it's just somebody stepping down, like and not necessarily firing them or them going elsewhere, but instead in that on the field role, maybe stepping into an off the field role and bringing in somebody else to help maybe with recruiting or something. It feels like you got to have some kind of shake up there, but I just don't know that I don't know that's out there, and it's kind of late in the game too.
It is. It is. Look, Auburn has to get it right in year 3. I think we both agree on that. The clock is ticking here on Hugh Freeze and his staff here in his 3rd year on the Plains, and they've got to show marked improvement toward having a team that can compete for SEC titles here pretty soon. It was wide open in the SEC. We saw some teams flub their chance at a college football playoff.
Yep.
Ole Miss did it. Missouri did it. South Carolina, man, they gave it their best go in the run down the stretch, winning 6 straight. Auburn needs to be in the mix next year, kind of in that South Carolina territory, if you ask me.
Yeah.
And that's
just in the conversation, man. Yeah, conversation. I be in the conversation. It's not like you got to have it's a 10 wins or 11 wins or you're gone type scenario. But hey, let's just be in the talk late. Let's be in the talk late, and then whatever happens in November or whatever. But like let's get it to where our season's not over before we even get to October. Like let's hang in there a little bit and make some noise. I think that's big. Maybe more so than just total number of wins.
Yeah. Well, season over or not, we'll be here to talk about every second of it. Kyle, and thank you for joining me today. Before we get out of here, tell people where they can find you.
Absolutely. Find me at thebarnauburn.com. Subscribe today. It's $25 off for 2025. And then anywhere you catch a podcast, you can find me, the Top Button Podcast.
That's it for another great edition of the Auburn Express, powered by the War Report. Look, guys, hit like and subscribe. We are the War Report on every social media platform. TW Report on TikTok. Hit those comments. Let us know what you think about all these staff shakeups. We'll see you guys tomorrow on the War Report.